So with the end of the school year fast approaching in less than 2 months, and with senioritis hitting me with full force now, I thought of the absolutely amazing idea to look back and reflect on the last 5 years of pain. My high school journey. And looking back, let's just say that there's a lot of stuff that I wish I could have told my grade 8 self back in 2017 before I stepped through those front doors. Here are 7 tips that I'd give myself before starting high school. The first tip that I'd give myself would be that there are a lot of things that really don't matter in high school once you look at the big picture. I'm mainly talking about the things that everyone uses to compare themselves. For example, comparing your height, when your birthday is, your shoe size, Instagram followers, your grades. You guys get the point. What I've learned as I've progressed through high school is that these things that we used to compare ourselves become much more primitive as you get older and more mature. Using myself as an example, I was never the tallest, I never had the earliest birthday, I rarely ever had the highest marks in my class, and I was never the most popular person in my grade. At least for me, I learned to let go of the importance that I placed on these things and instead learn to value what I would consider much more meaningful things. And this nicely carries over to the second tip that I'd give myself, and that would be to value and prioritize your friendships. This is something that I really struggled with up until the beginning of grade 12, but now I've come to appreciate that I have some absolutely amazing friends and people in my life that I know will always have my back and support me in any situation. From studying for an upcoming calculus test to playing Uno in the middle of French class, I don't think I'd be the person that I am today without these amazing people. Alright, so tip number 3 would probably make my grade 8 self whine a little bit if I told him this, but it would be to read more. A lot more. If you've watched my video about the 7 books that have changed my life, you may remember me saying that I didn't really like reading all that much, and this has been true for a majority of my life. I just never really enjoyed reading when I was young. But today, reading has now become such an ingrained habit in my life that it feels wrong if I don't do it, even though I'm not necessarily a fan of it. And after reading over 75 books over the last 2 years, I can definitely say that I've learned so much from just reading 1 to 2 chapters a day. The fourth tip that I'd give myself would be to find something that sets you apart from the crowd. I read a quote once that said, "No one is good at everything, but everyone is good at something." And it took me a really long time to find those somethings that made me, well, me. Having things that set me apart from others made navigating the challenges of high school so much easier because it mitigated many of my insecurities. I remember in my early high school days, I always questioned who I was, as I didn't really think that I had anything that I could attach to my name. But today, I have this YouTube channel, an insane morning routine, mentoring and work experience, and a great desire to keep learning. It was an extremely difficult process to find these things and to find myself, but it really has shaped the person that I am today. Alright, so tip number 5 is probably one of the more controversial ones on this list, but I would have told myself that grades are not as important as you may think. Up until the beginning of grade 12, I was always that one student who complained about getting anything under 95%. And along the way, I was kind of branded as that really smart Asian kid. But those high marks came at a cost, and they all revolved around one thing: balance. My parents had always told me that they'd rather me be happy and well-rounded and actually have lower grades than have high grades and not be well-rounded. And after denying them for almost 4 years, today, I'll have to confess that they were right. When I hit a really low point in my life in grade 11, I knew I had to make a change. In grade 12, I started focusing on being a more well-rounded person, and Although my average did drop by around 3 to 4%, I was much happier overall and my enjoyment of life increased tenfold. If I had known this tip before I started high school, I probably would have saved myself multiple years of pain and suffering. Tip number 6 that I would give myself would be that life is either hard now or hard later. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Life is difficult. There's no real doubt about it. And especially in high school as well. But the best part, I guess, about life being difficult is that you can choose when you want your life to be difficult. Hence, hard now or hard later. From grades 8 to 10, I remember I chose that latter option. During that time, I never really took the time to think about the person that I wanted to be or took the time to construct the life that I wanted. It was really during the pandemic that I finally took the time to reflect on myself and work towards the person that I wanted to become. As someone who does some quite frankly insane things to improve myself, I can say that it's not easy to do these things. It's not easy to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. It's not easy to take a cold shower. It's not easy to make these YouTube videos, and it's certainly not easy to get my calculus homework done. But life is either hard now and easy later, or easy now and hard later. And I'm sure as hell now gonna choose that first option. The 7th and final tip that I'd give myself before high school would be to never stop learning. And this tip has become one of the core values that I live by today. Before the pandemic began, most of what I learned was within the confines of school and only within school. The second that I stepped out of school grounds, aside from doing homework, I was not doing any learning whatsoever. But the pandemic really forced me to reevaluate what I was learning and what I really needed to learn in order to become better. From then on, I've done and still do a ton of reflection to continue learning about myself. It has taken hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours of meditation, journaling, spending time alone, reading books, watching videos, and listening to podcasts for me to learn more about my interests, core values, beliefs, and standards. With my passions like filming and editing these YouTube videos, I've learned so much from just doing random stuff and seeing what works and what doesn't. And I've read dozens of books about everything about our society, from the myths behind charisma to how to understand and interpret numbers today. This is one tip that I will definitely carry with me for the rest of my high school and post-secondary days, and hopefully beyond for the rest of my life. And that's pretty much it. In all honesty, as much as I'd be tempted, even if I could go back in time and give myself these tips, I probably wouldn't, because, well, I wouldn't be the person that I am today had I not experienced and endured those painful moments and gotten these life lessons. But hopefully the things that I've learned throughout high school can help some of you through your school experiences or in other areas of your life. And one last thing, I just want to say a huge thank you to each and every one of you for 500 subscribers. I'm truly grateful for all of you who have supported me and helped grow this channel. And for that, I just want to express my gratitude. Anyways, as always, gently tap the like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell to be notified whenever I release a new video. With that being said, I hope this video brought you value, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.